See, it's kind of typical when not just you, so many people, when they decide to start a business, I pretty much did the same thing. You want to go online, you want to begin to check everything that you can find on that business model that you plan to implement. If you plan to be a reseller, you are probably online, checking out a lot of YouTube videos, reading a lot of blog posts, how you can resell items, how you can, actually, source for items, how to make sure that you generate sales, how to optimize your listings, titles, descriptions, the list goes on and on and on. And YouTube is pretty much not lacking when it comes to this kind of videos. And a lot of the videos that you're going to see, they are going to make you feel good. They're going to make you feel like this is something that you can easily pull off, all right? The videos are going to simplify a lot of things. They're not going to consider so many variables. And sometimes, a lot of us did make this mistake. We watch these videos, we are pumped up. We say to ourselves, yes, I can do this. To make matters worse, some of us even quit our jobs, quit our full-time jobs because we felt like if this person pulling it off on YouTube, this reseller, going out to thrift and, coming here to talk about the fact that they bought so many stuff, they sold it for a lot of profit, I think I can do it, This is what this, not like everything, but like 95% of the information you have out there is going to make you feel this way. It's going to make you feel like you do not have to have some special abilities. You don't have to have some, unfair advantages. You do not have to put into full considerations, your life situations, your age, your location, the kind of, category you want to sell in, your family situation, your financial stability. If you have a source of livelihood at the moment, it doesn't consider that. All it tells you is that you have to go out, put in the work, go out there and just grind it out and, buy stuff, bring them to the platform, say eBay, sell them and begin to make profit. Guys, you probably must have seen that it doesn't really work like that. You might go out there with this advice, armed with these motivations, and then you go out to try this thing, you realize that, wait a minute, there are so many things that wasn't talked about. Nobody told me, first of all, that I wasn't going to find inventories. Nobody told me this thing is going to take a lot of time from me to the point where I will even be thinking, perhaps I'm even better off taking a full-time job, because in a full-time job, when you work for 8 hours, you get paid for 8 hours, and you have a break in between, and sometimes the break is paid for, and then you have payment for your insurance, you have payment for, for pretty much some companies pay this holiday kind of allowance, but then you realize that you are starting reselling. You are spending so much hours, trying to source for items. Still that's not enough. You source for these items. You have to bring them home. You have to make sure they're in the best condition. You have to spend time cleaning them. Not only that, you finish cleaning them, you have to, spend time, making photos. And then not only that, you have to actually list them. Thankfully, I hear that there is some AI lister now that's kind of making things easy. I still have to do a video about that, all right? But then you list them, and when the item sells, just like this laptop here, sold for 99 euros, you are going to pack them exactly the same way I am packing this laptop now. At the end of the day, you are asking yourself, hey, this is just one item. What if I now happen to sell like, 50 pieces of this particular laptop, or if I now have to sell 50 different products where I have absolutely no idea how to go about packing them, what kind of materials to use, where do I get packaging materials, how do I ensure that these items arrive safely? And to make matter worse, some of these items might be delivered, and these items get destroyed during transportation. And not only that, everything might seem to be okay. The item wasn't destroyed. The delivery service did a good job in making sure that the item got to the buyer's address, but then the buyer receives it and makes some story, tells you that the item doesn't work, or that he actually ordered the item by mistake. And then you are beginning to ask yourself, Why was nobody talking, about all this intricate stuff on the internet? Yes, that's the mystery of a lot of the videos that you see on YouTube. A lot of the videos, they tend to want to, what's the word? I forgot this word. And they tend to really lump a lot of processes all in one and just tell you, go out sourcing, sales for good inventories, and then you list them on the eBay, and these are the items that are selling, and then they're going to sell. See, that simple sentence that the content creator has made, perhaps I'm also guilty of that, but that simple sentence might take you a long time to actually pull it off. Even for the experienced hands out here, sometimes we still have a lot of challenges. A few days ago, I tried to buy a power supply for an iPad. It was a whole lot of shit show. Like, I literally wasted money. The money I wasted, in the end wasn't the biggest problem, but the fact that I had to waste like 3 hours, was the biggest anger that I really, really had. All right? These are the intricate things. And at the end of the day, starting a business and succeeding in a business takes much, much more than just, having this motivation to work hard. Of course, the motivation to work hard is one of the biggest things that you can actually bring to the fore. Without that, there's just no way that you can actually, do something. Yes, you also have to, you first have to have that motivation to want to succeed, to want to work hard, but then there are so many other things that needs to be in their right places for these things to be, adequately pulled off. Sometimes some of the things might not pretty much be fair, but there are some of the things that hard work will actually make you figure them out. But at the end of the day, there are so many things that, your location is a major factor that plays a big role if you're going to succeed or not. Of course, if you are very, very determined, this is something that you can easily bypass. But you bypassing that will also be hanging on so many other factors, because if you are married, you have kids, your kids are in school, and your wife is working, and it's not so easy for you to say, hey, wife, I don't think this location is serving me very good. Come, let's just go to somewhere else where I feel I will have, access to inventories. It doesn't work like that so easily. And of course, if you are married, your wife also have to have, an influence on the decisions that you make. And sometimes it's no longer so easy to just, decide, wake up in the morning and disappear. Like if you are a single person. Of course, location, once again, is just one of the many things that you might be thinking about. The quality of inventories that you are able to find. Of course, some people have, very good supplies of inventories, but what's the quality of the inventories that you tend to get? Are they inventories that you can actually start a business with? Of course, maybe not. That's the problem. If they are not inventories that you can start a business with, yes, of course, you'll be trying to put in the work, but at the end of the day, whatever you are getting out of the business is not enough to keep you sustained. Not enough to pay your rent, not enough to pay your, child's, school fees. It's not enough to get you insured, and it gets a little bit complicated. Your job situation also has a very major role, to play in this game. Some people have this combination of working a part-time job and having a research business on the side, because this is a model that has also been proposed by a lot of people, myself inclusive. Some people have this model of working a full-time job, coming home and also put reselling on the side. Of course, I also subscribe to this method. If you really feel like this is something you want to do and you want to do it at all costs, but then these are some of the things that people do not tell you about. They tell you, get a job so that if the income from reselling is not holding up, then from your full-time job or your part-time job, you can actually sustain yourself, you can support yourself, just keep reselling on the side. But guys, I want to tell you that it doesn't matter if you try to combine a full-time job or a part-time job with reselling. All you are doing is you are doing two full-time jobs, in my opinion, because you working a part-time job anyhow, you have to commute to that job. Sometimes you have to commute totaling perhaps 1 hour, depending on where you live. And the job might be very physical, and when you come out of the job, you are pretty much done. It's going to take an extra amount of motivation to see you standing up and saying to yourself, yes, I want to go ahead and start to source for inventories, And sometimes you pull it off, you go sourcing, you buy items, and then you bring to the platform, bring to the platform, and then nothing seems to be selling. You are highly, highly discouraged, and you do not want to do it again. But then most of the videos that you hear on the internet, nobody tells you about this stuff. Just tell you, yes, you can actually have a full-time job on the side, a part-time job, keep reselling on the side and do it. You can brute force your way through it. Guys, I want to tell you that, look, you need to have some special kind of motivation, some special kind of skill set that is pretty much not found in a lot of people. Out of 100 people, perhaps just 5 or 6, or perhaps, let's just be fair, let's say 10 people might have this kind of motivation. The motivation where you go to work, if you are married, you come back from work and you tell yourself, it doesn't matter, I want to go grinding it out. I'm going to go to this thrift store or this flea market. I want to, try to see what I can find. And sometimes your wife is not happy about it. She's complaining, but you do not care because you are fully charged. You are like, look, this is what I want to do. I want to get it. It's going to take a lot of friction that nobody, once again, talks about. If you are currently in this phase of your life where you are feeling like, yes, reselling is something you want to do, or not even reselling, perhaps you want to start a business. It could be a cleaning service, it could be a lawn mowing service, or whatever kind of service, delivery service, food delivery, whatever it is. And you are right now online, looking for information. I'm telling you beforehand that, look, a lot of the videos you're going to be clicking on and watching on, first of all, they're going to have these titles and this thumbnail to suck you in. This is all well planned because this is what the algorithm wants to see. I mean, the content creator could not have done otherwise. It is just what it is. You're going to be sucked into this rabbit hole, and you'll be fed a lot of videos that will ultimately make you feel good. Motivating content, which is, like I said, is not really bad, but most times if the content creator was just to take a little break and try to, just slow down a little bit and break things up. If you've watched Alex Hormozzi's video content, I mean, all due respect to him, he has given a lot of game to the people, and I really appreciate him for all he's doing. I've also, gotten a lot of, positive, motivating stuff and a lot of insight into business and business processes from him. But at the end of the day, everything still has to be done within the confines of the YouTube algorithm, which is, you talk about some of the stuff, you leave the viewer to actually figure out a lot of the things themselves. Once again, all due respect to Alex Hormozzi, he really talks about, hard work as some of the tools that you need to succeed in business. But then the things that you have to figure out yourself, man, they are the things that really, really matters. But then there's pretty much no other advice that can be given to you if you want to start a business, apart from just go all out, start this business. Try to see how you can, navigate your way through the murky waters, all the challenges that's going to be coming. As they come, try to solve it the way that's going to be best for you. There's no one-size advice that's going to help you. Watch all the videos if you like, buy all the YouTube growth course or the business, starting a business course you have out there. At the end of the day, there are just so many variables. Your age, your strength level, when you go to sleep, when you wake up, the kind of job you have, if you have a wife, do you have kids, your location, do you have a car, what kind of food you eat, do you have some addiction, are there things in your life that, from your past life that might be dragging you back, just so many variables that goes into it that it's just impossible for one person to give you all the game that will see to it that you start that business today and you are already succeeding. Of course, from the hundreds or thousands of videos I have watched, one thing seems to stand out, which is you have to first of all be hardworking. You have to be a self-starter. You have to be that person that can sit down here with no motivation, with nobody encouraging you or even cheering you up. You have to be able to move and do something. Guys, I'm telling you because this is my own experience. Of course, your own might be different. all through for a very, very long time. Never had anybody cheering me up. Of course, at some point, I also had a few people cheering me up. But when things got a little bit rusty, things got pretty much deeper. I was trying to scale this thing, not even scaling this business to a very large level. I mean, I was still able to sleep because there are some businesses that you try to scale, you no longer can sleep. You can pretty much forget about sleep, pretty much forget about food. All you are able to do is just to eat some junk food because the scaling process is going to take a lot of time from you. And there's just so much time in a day. So you want to maximize this time. And because of that, you want to skip your sleep, wake up very early. I was just trying to scale this business to the point where I can do it comfortably. Even then, it got to a point where, man, I didn't have the support I needed anymore. Of course, I kind of say to myself, even negative support is kind of support. If somebody keeps telling you it's not going to succeed, and you keep telling yourself, I am going to do it, I am going to do it, it's also a form of support because the person unknowingly is actually cheering you up just from the negative direction, and you are trying to say to yourself, I'm not going to allow the talk of this person to hold me back. I want to succeed. I am committed to it. In my mind, I see this success. In my body, I am actually deploying my body, to be in unison with what my mind sees. And in my spirit, I see nothing that is going to make me fail. My spirit feels it. I am going for it. This is what it takes. You have to be that self-starter, that one person that can motivate yourself. Right now, this iPad here, it kind of happens that it got switched on while packing it. This kind of happens all the time, and this is one of the things I really do not like about this iPad, because the switch button is just there at the top, and if you are not careful while packing it, the iPad is going to be switched on. And this one right now is switched on, but I just have no power to open this packaging anymore. And if I open it, the sellotape is so strong, it's going to ruin the bubble wraps, and then I have to get a new bubble wrap. And there's even the possibility that if I wrap it again, it's also going to switch on. So I'm just going to leave it there. And if I take it to the post office right now, ideally, this tablet should be delivered tomorrow. So there should still be enough battery left, even if it's switched on or through the night. So this is absolutely not a problem, all right? So I was saying that, look, you have to be a self-starter. You have to be that person that is able to endure pain. The pain, man, it's going to be a lot. There's going to be disappointment on the way. You are going to, buy inventories and suddenly realize that, man, from nowhere, the inventories don't sell. It's kind of painful. You put in a lot of work. You try to list items. We listed items in the days where there were no AI. So everything was pretty much done one after the other, and this takes hours. If you are that person that are fortunate enough to sell items that you don't have to put descriptions, then you are good. But then it doesn't always happen like that. There are different categories. Like in the category in which I sell in, your item has to be described. You can't just wipe a computer there and leave it for it to sell without saying anything about it. You have to tell the potential buyer in what condition is the computer, is it defective, is it working, are there signs of use, stuff like that, and because of this, the listings just take time, and we did it pretty much in a time where there was no AI, and yes, a lot of time, a lot of hours, were expended in doing this, but we simply did it. There was no encouragement. Sometimes after doing all these things, you ship out the item, and then the items, the buyer just receives them and say, I do not like it. It doesn't meet my need. I want to send it back. Even then, we have to take it. As a processor there, it's a Core i5-8400, sold for decent price, 41 euro or so. And I did sell 2 pieces of this, kind of a decent sale. I still have one more. I really need to go back and just, make sure I, edit the listing, which I can pretty much do right now. Yes, you have to, be able to endure pain. It's going to come, if the guru's trying to sell you on something were to tell you this, I don't think you want to buy the courses. You will say, if it's all about a painful process, if it's going to be a process that's going to make me sweat, I don't think I want to be part of it. And this is marketing 101, which is you do not sell the people the process, you just sell them the result. And this is pretty much what everybody does. If you see somebody selling you a course, it's almost certain that the person is selling the process. But if the person says a one-on-one consultation, yes, some of these people are pretty more fair on a one-on-one consultation. They try to tell you, especially the content creators that do make content, and show you the behind the scenes of what they do, what they pack, the challenges they are passing through. So I don't think a content creator is going to come here, show you how many items were returned, show you how many times he drove out without finding good inventories, or show you how drowned he or her is in the amount of items they have to list, and then you hop onto it, a consultation with such a content creator or a reseller, and then they try to tell you that everything is so easy. It doesn't work like that. But then there are so many mysterious resellers that just come online, kind of whip out a lot of content and just tell you all the things that you want to hear, because the ultimate plan is for you to be able to get enough content, enough for you to now say, oh, you know what, I want to buy a course. And they sell you on a course, and that is the end of the story. It happens all the time. I've never been a victim of, of buying a course or falling for a guru's scheme. I've always learned everything myself, and because of that, it took me years. I'm already 10 years in. I'm still counting. And at the end of the day, the beautiful thing is that even though it took me a long time to figure out a lot of stuff, I developed a process that works only for me. I used to advertise a consulting session, which I think I want to start again. But then if I am opportune to, get somebody to, talk with me on a one-on-one session, I want to feel like we are going to start from understanding your life situation. Are you a student? How much time do you have left in a 24-hour day? Because the idea is not that you are not able to make money as a reseller. The thing is, how much time do you have? If you have all the time in the world, you are just Gucci, because you're going to be everywhere. People are not able to come in the morning to the thrift store. You are already there. In the late evenings, when people are already rushing home to go cater for their kids or something like that, you are still hanging in the corner waiting for the shelves to be populated, and you are just able to go there. You are able to stay longer in your warehouse, wherever you operate from, your garage, your room, without nobody talking or nagging you. These are different conditions. So if I am opportune to get somebody on a one-on-one session, which I think I will, because yes, why not? I'm also trying to put people on game, tell you about how you can actually start out flipping used PCs, or monitors, desktop PCs, PCs, laptops, iPads, on eBay, on your website, or whatever platform you decide to sell on. Of course, I am open to putting people on game. But then if I am opportune to do that, the first thing that I pretty much will start with is to understand your life situation. What's your motivation level? Are you open to working longer hours without having to think, no, I have to go see my friends? There's just no way I can be working here. Are you also, do you have problems with working alone? Because this is also something that's also really talked about, because this reselling business, a lot of time you're going to be alone. If you want to check it out, you can easily see that from some of the resellers that do it solo. I'm talking about the ones that have their wife also supporting the business. For the guys that do it solo, or the girls that do it solo, it is a lonely thing, guys. This is the second Core i5 8400 processor that I also sold for the same amount, 41 euros. I'm just going to check that to be super sure how much it sold for. I keep saying 41 euros, but let's see. Yes, for 41 euros and 90 cents, including shipping, decent transaction. It wasn't paid for because it pretty much came from some, dead inventories that, I just put it off a working PC, and the PC probably was thrown away. But then, yes, are you open to working alone? There are certain people that they cannot, just stay in a locked up apartment, in a locked up, warehouse in the middle of nowhere for 3 hours, for 4 hours. And then how fit are you also? There are people that are not able to sit down for so long, or able to stand for so long. They have this kind of nagging pain on your waist, on your hand, on your elbow, your ankle. Yes, these are the situations that can come in the way, because this reselling thing is kind of very physical also. have to be going out to, shop for items. You have to be, carrying these items, and you also have to be able to stand for long hours. If you sell in a niche where the items you sell, they tend to sell very fast, and because of that, every day you have to pack a lot of items, welcome to the game. You're going to be standing for longer hours. Like if you sell books, I can pretty much tell that if you sell 50 books in a day, you're going to stand. Guys, I think a decent transaction just happened now. It's a Lenovo ThinkCentre P330 sold for 446 euros and 1 cent. This is a decent transaction, a beautiful PC. Of course, I'm definitely going to be talking about this. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and be subscribed. Click on the like button. Until I see you again in the next one. Peace.